Thank you for those helpful breathing techniques, Rowena. Hi, my name is Rutu, and I am the social media intern here at Glamour Gals this summer. I am honored to introduce Stephanie Lee. Stephanie Lee is a founder and CEO of SELFMADE, a company on a mission to democratize mental health by developing personal care products that are linked to emotional well-being concepts and mental health resources. SELFMADE's products are meant to support you from the inside out. Stephanie?
Hi, Rutu. Thank you so much for that kind intro, and huge thank you to Rachel and Glamour Gals, sorry, for sharing this space to talk about my two favorite things, beauty and mental health. I'm super stoked to be here at a time that may feel kind of weird and squishy, right? We're re-emerging into society. Summer feels like maybe it's winding down and back to school is on the horizon, and we're here to make over our mental health mindset. You already probably know this, but I want to be super clear. There's no longer just mental health, emotional health, physical health, social health, spiritual health. It's all health. And really, it's about whole self health. And I sit before you as the founder of SELFMADE and as an anti-girl boss. We're a well-being brand that institutes rituals of self-worth by creating emotionally intelligent personal care products. Everything we create is developed with mental health experts to address the cycle of how our mental health and our emotional state affect our skin and body function. And it's true. The moment we're anxious or feel worried about a test, a crush, our grades, a friend that might be mad at us, is the moment our stress hormones rise and we see it show up on our body. From tense muscles, shortness of breath, stomach pain, dry skin, zits, the connection is super real. And your beauty products are also inherently emotional. Like, think of that face cream that you love and how it feels when you touch your skin, or when you have a really crappy day and all you want to do is just take your bra off, go for a shower, and wash the day off to feel refreshed. Just FYI, self-touch is self-care. Here's the thing. You and I know that traditional beauty standards have no business telling us what we should and should not do today. It was just some random dudes ages ago who decided to create a very, very narrow idea of what beauty and worthiness is. And that definition truly hasn't caught up with the times. And let me tell you, they've always been wrong. At SELFMADE, we know that there's a direct relationship between your feeling of self-worth and your perception of your own beauty. Meaning, when you feel good, you look good, not the other way around, as society has said for so long. But I didn't always know this. In fact, it took a lot of resilience, tears, and conversations to become an entrepreneur and try to change this narrative. Many people, including myself, stumble and fall along the way. We make mistakes, we encounter hardships, and it's because of them, not despite them, that we get to live real and fulfilling lives. And learning from those exact missteps and how we navigate change is what allows us to become the wiser, more accomplished people we look up to. And so what I love about this time of change you're entering is that it's a world of possibility. In the past, the more I thought about my future and my expectations for it, the more I second guessed myself. I'd ask myself, should I do this? Or what if this happens? Or what if I fail? No matter how many tarot card readings I did, no one knew the answers. And the more I lost myself in the questions, the less I paid attention to the here and now. And the now is the most important part of your story. Because if you think about it, you need to know and accept who that person is today before you can take any step forward. So I want to get super real with you and tell you about myself before I worked for Michelle Obama at the White House, before I started creating products at MAC Cosmetics and staying in 5-star hotels and going backstage at Fashion Week. And before I traveled the world by myself to 11 countries and did a really cool road trip across the US with my dog. When I was younger, I was bullied and I was made fun of because I looked different. My slanted eyes, round face, dark hair did not look like other girls. I've been spit on, I've been called names, which made me feel very alone and isolated. From this, I learned to protect myself from others so I didn't feel the sting of rejection. And ultimately, I just really wanted to belong. And maybe there's some of you who have felt the same way. As I grew older, this meant that I sacrificed personal relationships and ended up keeping people and joy at arm's length. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid that letting people down would mean being unloved. And I was afraid of who I was on the inside. In 2016, I hit a mental health crisis, like dove off a cliff. From 30 years of learning how to ignore my feelings, I found myself heartbroken when I realized that my reality wasn't as happy as I convinced myself to be. In fact, it was the exact opposite. I had been miserable without even knowing it, and it was a super fast descent into a deep depression. I thought I was doing everything right, but not knowing that I was living my life to meet the expectations of others instead of what was true to me. And luckily, with a lot of therapy, a lot of work on my mental health, love for my friends, family, and a community just like this, I've spent the last 5 years rebuilding a very new mindset, life, tools, and all that good stuff of true self-care. I learned to put myself first before anything else. I've learned to accept who I am and that my best is good enough. And that growth comes from developing resilience, and it's measured by how we get back and come back from loss, suffering, and other just crappy things that naturally come our way. And so, rather than give advice, I want to ask you 3 questions to ponder about during this moment of transition before going back to school. First, ask yourself, how do you want to feel when you grow up? How many of you have been asked by others, what do you want to be when you grow up? Me, like way too many times to count. This question ingrains in us the idea that the only important thing about our future is what job we have. When I was born, my mom told me that I should be a doctor or a lawyer. I didn't question it. I took it as an order. I took classes, read books, participated in competitions to prepare myself to be a doctor. And that was just high school. And then I changed my mind. The first idea you have or subjects you study may not be where you end up, but the pursuit of learning, being curious, and expanding your mind is something you can take into any life. Number 2, how do you define success? My parents are immigrants who came to the US over 40 years ago from Vietnam, escaping war. They were lost at sea, hijacked by Thai pirates, saved by oil tankers. And they were held in refugee camps in Malaysia and Korea, all by the age of 18, around the same age you guys are. Growing up in the US when I was 18, I was looking for a prom dress. As the kid of immigrants, I interpreted their messages of their struggle to survive as the need to design my life to be the life they never had, financially stable and physically safe. And to get there, I thought I needed power, money, and recognition. So I compared myself to others and searched for these things my whole life until I hit that uncomfortable feeling of uncertainty and heartbreak. With my life changing drastically, I did a lot of soul searching. I asked people, what do you expect from life? How do you define success? The answer was never money and never power. And from hundreds of these chats, I'm now able to define my idea of success as making new friends, having new experiences, and surrounding myself with great people. This has brought me the most joy every single day. Lastly, are you showing emotional integrity, vulnerability? You've probably heard of the buzzword emotional intelligence, and that's been around for a while. But if you haven't, that's the capacity to be aware of, control, and express your emotions, to handle relationships empathetically and put yourself in their shoes. It's a super great quality to have. But what people don't really talk about as much, which I think is the secret to productive relationships, is emotional integrity. It's the courage to spend some time with yourself and acknowledge your true feelings, needs, and desires without the worry of others judging you. This means being 100% honest with yourself. It's the ability to know how you feel and be vulnerable enough to share it. And sometimes it even means speaking out loud the shame you may feel in order to not feel alone. It's really freaking hard to do if you have FOMO and if you're a people pleaser. It's equally as hard if you don't like hurting people's feelings. And it's even harder if you don't know how to get in touch with your own feelings. I was trying to be somebody that others would accept without question, but at the expense of myself. And finding your voice and speaking up is true bravery. Answering these questions, it's just not easy. It's always a work in progress. Every string I pulled in my self-exploration journey always tied back to self-worth, which is why SELFMADE exists today. We have beauty products that speak to our attachment styles, resilience, and emotional intimacy. We have a growing community of women just like you helping us build an app where we can enable community-powered healing. And it's people like you and organizations like Glamour Gals coming together to continue strengthening our empathy muscles for real, authentic connection. Thank you for this time to allow me to be vulnerable and share my lived experience. I'm so excited for each and every one of your journeys in the pursuit of authentic self-worth. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, I'm Heather, the executive intern this summer.
And hi, I'm Gemma, one of the